Sometimes we just get tired of things. It's not like we don't enjoy the car anymore, but sometimes we grow out of things. At some point, you're gonna grow out of certain things or maybe just want to change. And today I want to talk about that when it comes to our cars. Obviously mainly Fox bodies, but sometimes things like that can start the downfall, if you will, of the Fox body or the car or whatever it is that you own that you once enjoyed. So sometimes it's just change, whatever that looks like in your life. It could be, a new job, and maybe you have to commute further, and now maybe the car doesn't get driven as much. What I've noticed, especially with the older cars, Fox bodies in general, is they're great while you're using them, while you're in the moment, enjoying these cars and just, in love, if you will, with it. They're great. But if you take a break from it, you start to realize that there are other options. You start to realize that there are other cars out there that can pull you in and give you a sense of satisfaction, maybe not just like what your hot rod does, but they're more realistic, and the satisfaction that you get out of it is equal to what you got out of the other car. But at some point, you're going to want to scratch that itch that you've got. But you realize that when you go back to scratch that itch, you just can't reach it. It's like you're scratching it. It's like it's not on the outside of your skin. Like this is something internal that you just can't get to, right? You just can't scratch that itch. And that's when you start to wonder what's going on. Is it just me? Why do I feel this way? Well, there's a lot of different things that go into this, and today I want to touch on them. And I feel like one of the biggest issues that we don't talk about enough is the fact that we just grow older. We just grow out of things. The hot rodding scene, man, when you're young, is one of the best things. It just is. You're full of freaking testosterone and adrenaline, and you just love this. This is life, right? You get in a car, you bang gears. The louder the better. The bigger the cam, the better. The more obnoxious, the more people you can piss off when you drive it, the better. Well, as you start to get a little older, those things aren't as cool. In theory, they sound good, but you start to realize when you look back that so much time has passed that you've really not been that person for a while now, but you thought you were. So you go to, drive a car that maybe it's been sitting up for a couple of months or something, and you really haven't driven it a lot lately anyway in the past year or so. And you go to get in it and it just doesn't speak to you, right? It just doesn't scratch that itch that you've got. And it's kind of a sad thing to watch happen, because this is where cars start to go downhill. This is where cars are forgotten, where they're put to the side over some little mechanical issue. There again, we can relate it to my dad's car with, like a power steering rack and a couple of other little tweaks that it needs, like a headliner, right? But those little things will make you not want to drive your car. On top of the fact that you're just starting to kind of get out of it and you've not even realized it yourself yet. What I'm getting at is the cold, harsh reality of we all won't change, and we all grow out of the things that we used to love so much that we never thought we would grow out of. We start to want something a little different, especially in today's world with these really nice cars that we all get a chance to drive and ride in and or just see on the road. Starts to make this old car not be so cool again. We have to also think back, especially for us that are older, when we were truly enjoying these cars. They were new, or at least they weren't as old as they are now, and they definitely still hold a place in our hearts. We want to go out and we want to enjoy these cars, and we want to beat on them and go through the gears, and that's cool. But I think it comes to a point to where it's only cool every so often. You know, you want to basically put this thing up, forget about it, but it not have any lingering problems, like nothing that you want to go back out and have to work on. You just want to know that it's in the garage and that it's good, so that whenever you want to, you can go get in this car and you can go drive it, enjoy it for a few minutes, and then bring it back and you get your fix. Well, there again, when a car has issues, it makes it worse. Literally makes you ask yourself, well, why in the hell do I even bother with this car? I think there's a couple of things going on here. For one thing, we just don't fix a lot of the little issues that we need to. We're going to do a video on that, actually. That's coming up. But we don't fix a lot of the issues that we should fix along the way. We worry about horsepower too much and exhaust and paint. But we don't make the car usable for us. We don't make it so that it's enjoyable, so that when we get in, it doesn't feel like an old hunk of crap, you know, a bucket of bolts. Because that's a huge thing. Like that plays on your psyche when you jump into one of these cars and everything rattles. And there again, you know, no power steering, the brakes suck, and there's rips in your seats. But maybe it's a good running engine. Maybe it's a pretty car with pretty paint. But if you have those little issues, it'll make you not want to drive the car. And the reality is there's a whole nother generation coming up behind us that are going to love these cars and be excited about them the way we were when we were younger. But I do feel like there's a certain generation of us that want something different out of these cars. What is that exactly? Well, it's going to vary, you know, person to person. Some of you guys are well, you know, into your 50s, 60s, 70s, and you still, you know, like that power. You want them to be as rowdy and as nasty as possible. But I would almost be willing to say that you still don't drive this car as much as you did maybe when you were in your 20s, 30s, right? There was a time when we would drive these cars like this every single day. They were our daily drivers, and we loved it, right? We wanted more of it. We never thought that we would get to a point to where they just sit, or to where some of these little things aggravate us and make us not want to drive it. But here we are. Now, some of you younger guys, you're still probably right there right now. You're the ones I'm talking to. You're the ones that are going to carry the torch. Have fun with these cars. Man, beat the shit out of them. Enjoy these things to their fullest, because I promise you at some point you're going to reach a point in your life where none of this stuff matters as much. Here's the weird thing. It can aggravate you beyond belief that your car is not what you thought it was. It's not as comfortable anymore. And you're asking yourself, why do I even like this car? But let me ask you guys a question. How many of you that feel that way would be willing to go in right now and put this thing back to stock or downgrade it? See, that's the hard thing. Not many people are able to do that. So that's why it's so important that when we're building our cars, we don't go too far with it. But there again, that's one of the hardest things to keep from doing, is going too far when you build one of these cars, because we're all in competition with each other. If you're not in competition with your buddy that's got one, or somebody else around you, maybe in your neighborhood or in your own town, then you're competing it in your own head against the guy on the internet. We have these grandiose visions of how these cars are going to affect people around us, and how it's going to look when it goes down the road, how it's going to sound when you pull into a gas station, and we build and we build. And sometimes maybe we get there, maybe we hit that pinnacle, but the chances are it's only going to last for so long. You might get a couple of years out of it, you know, to where this is just perfect. But like everything else, it's going to run its course, so you don't want the novelty to wear off. Now, a good car, the novelty typically never really wears off. You may not drive it as much, you may not enjoy it as much as you did, but it is something you can get in and is usable, right? That's where a lightly modded car is pretty much going to always kind of be around. Highly modified cars, a lot of times they meet their doom in a scrapyard or in somebody's backyard because it was overbuilt, overdone, nobody enjoys it, and they just rot away. Or they're turned into race cars and soon to be forgotten at some point. But why are we having this conversation? This is very humdrum, right? This is very blasé. Well, I want to have this conversation because this is the reality of being a car guy and getting a little older. We don't want to let go of our youth. We don't want to let go of our passion with these cars. But we're not willing to downgrade and go back to the way they were or put the money and time and effort into it to do it, right? Be careful, be cautious when you're building your car. Try not to go to the extreme. Try not to build it to something you've seen in a magazine or on Facebook or on YouTube or to impress anybody but yourself. Build your car the way that you think you're going to be able to enjoy it the majority of your life while you own this. Okay? That's what I say. Just go out there and enjoy your car, and I will catch you guys in the next one. And as always, thanks for watching.